Hey, YouTube, this is gonna be another story about the Meier story that I covered. It's really sad. Sorry, my eyes are hurting. Because if I wear glasses for too long, they start to hurt my eyes a lot, you know? Here we go.
At first glance, this MySpace page looks like one belonging to a typical teenager. She likes hot guys and hip-hop. But scroll down.
I think she kind of took pictures like me, like I'm like this all the time. Like I'm walking around going like this and kind of acting like this. Yeah, I'm a goofy guy.
This is her memorial page. This girl just wrote, "I really wish I could have had a chance to meet you. I wanted to meet the beautiful and smart girl that everyone talks about. I hope you're resting easy, baby girl." This has about 90,000 views.
Meier was 13 when she took her own life over a year ago.
Actually, let me see something. Sorry for the inconvenience. She's on MySpace on Facebook, and it says Meier public photo, and they said she had a Facebook too. Poor girl. Looks like she had a Facebook and it was active in 2011. Why would... I'm liking some of these because I want to post these videos about Meier to know how deeply hurt I am. Even though I didn't know this person personally, I wish I could have gone back and past to save this poor girl.
In September of 2006, Megan was just shy of her 14th birthday when what seemed to be a budding online relationship with a boy calling himself Josh Evans ended badly.
I dated a girl online because I was stupid and I didn't know any better. Yeah, me 17 years old and 18. Now I'm 23 and I know better.
What's going on there? Hey, calm down. What is going on
Why would you ask someone to calm down if her daughter just hung herself?
there? My daughter just hung herself.
The tragedy was compounded when it was learned that the cyber friendship that drove her...
I mean, I know, you know.
What is going on there? What's going on there? My daughter. Hey, calm down. What is going on there? My daughter just hung herself.
The tragedy was compounded when it was learned that the cyber friendship that drove her to hang herself had been a hoax. Other kids posing as a fictitious boy. The sense of outrage deepened when one of the young participants in the hoax came forward.
She told us she had information that it was Lori Drew who created this MySpace account along with her 18-year-old employee and her daughter.
Lori Drew was not another preteen, but the mother of a girl who lived down the street. One person involved claims that Lori Drew asked her to create an account for the kids. Who do you blame?
Obviously, I blame the Drews. I blame them because they absolutely created the false account to completely trick my daughter.
Despite the tragic end of Megan's life, no criminal charges were brought against anyone by the state of Missouri. The internet is a young medium, and there were no...
You guys need to actually get your heads into the game and actually know this is wrong. You know what you guys are? You guys are... I can't even say it. I'm so pissed off by this.
laws on the books set up to address a case like this.
How did that make you feel? How could it be possible that no laws were broken here?
It's pathetic that we, as a society, do not have laws to protect our children.
In an unlikely twist, the U.S. Attorney's Office...
Trust me, I've wanted to kill myself since middle school. In 7th or 8th grade, I started having suicidal thoughts of me wanting to shoot myself in the head. And trust me, 11 months ago, it almost happened. I took a whole handful of antidepressants, put them all in my mouth, and drank a lot of water with them. My mom almost freaked out. My mom freaked out.
in Los Angeles started its own investigation of Lori Drew. But the alleged victim is not who you would think. It's MySpace, based in Beverly Hills. The prosecutor has decided to...
I didn't die. My mom had to call the poison control, actually, and ask... She called the pharmacy, but then they called the poison control, and then they just told her that I'll be fine. Just give him as many liquids as you can. He mightn't sleep throughout the day. I fell asleep, and my brother came in and told me that I had to cook pasta, but I was asleep. And then I started talking to my fiance, and then my mom flipped out when she came home, but I didn't even know what I was supposed to be doing. How can you blame a kid who just took a whole handful of antidepressants? That's my fiance, by the way. Sorry, the glare on my iPod is really bad. You've probably heard of her before. And you've probably, heard me talk about her, and you've probably seen her YouTube account that I helped her set up so she could have her own videos if she wanted them. Brittany, yeah. Okay. Continuing with the story.
By a new tactic in this case, gambling on a charge he thinks may stick, wire fraud. Lori Levinson knows just how difficult it can be to prosecute such a controversial case. She spent several years in that same office.
In this situation, the prosecutors are searching around. We want to find her guilty of something. What can we get, even if it's a stretch?
Prosecutors may claim Lori Drew defrauded MySpace by helping set up a bogus profile on their website posing as a minor and targeted at another minor, Meier. An act that her family believes set off the chain of events that inexplicably led to the death of Meier.
Describe for me what kind of young girl Megan was.
Megan was, a goofy girl. Megan just giggled a lot.
A lot like me. Goofy, really nice to people, even though people weren't really nice to me, One girl wrote down, actually, in my yearbook a long time ago, wrote down that I'm beautiful and then signed her name because she said how much I care about the girls I date, how nice I am to people, even though people aren't really nice to me, Yeah. Yeah, I'm really nice to people. I mean, sometimes, one guy said Peyton Manning has a fire in his belly. Yeah, I got the fire. I have a fiery side too, but not talking about that right now. But yeah, I do have a fiery side, but I'm mostly nice to people.
He was a class clown.
This goofy girl, however, had battled bouts of depression
I tried to make people laugh. Yeah.
since the 3rd grade, telling her mother she wanted to commit suicide and cutting her arms. Like many young
If I would have been there, I would have helped her. I would have tried to put a stop to this because, you know, a lot of people get called ugly. I care more what's in here more than what's on the outside. I care more what's on the inside than the outside.
girls, she struggled with her self-esteem and desire to fit in.
In 7th grade is when Megan had a really, really tough year. That was the year that Megan was really, truly just trying to fit in. And she just couldn't figure it out. And it's a tough year for a lot of children.
In the beginning of her 8th grade year, one boy seemed to appear on Megan's MySpace account out of nowhere.
How did Megan's online...
If I would have known about this, I would have told Megan not to add that person because I know this story pretty well. I know the gist of it and I know more of it.
interaction with Josh Evans begin?
She had a new friend request, and she looked at it, and it was a picture of a really good-looking boy.
I mean, I can understand this, that Megan wanted to add him because he was good looking and stuff, but if I would have known about this, I would have told Megan not to add him if I would have known about it. If I would have knew who it was, and I would have just said block him and just don't waste your time with talking with people who are like this, you know?
And said he wanted to be friends with her. And Megan looked at me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, he is so hot." And I said, "Do you know who he is?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Well, you know, then I don't think you should add him."
Megan's persistence paid off. Tina Meier reluctantly allowed her to accept Josh Evans as a friend.
What did some of the emails say?
They were instant messages, and it was, you know, "Gosh, you're so cute," or "Your eyes are beautiful," that type of stuff.
But from the beginning, Tina Meier sensed that there was something off about Josh Evans.
I was very open with her, and I said, "You know, Megan, we don't know who this person is. This could be, you know, a 40-year-old pervert. This could be a 16-year-old person, or it could be a 20-year-old person. We don't have a clue who this person is." Again, remember, people can be anybody that they say they want to be on a computer.
Unfortunately, her mother's intuition was right, though she never imagined that Josh Evans was a fake cyber character allegedly concocted by neighbors just 4 homes away. Lori and Kurt Drew had been a part of the Meyers' life for years. Their daughter was the same age as Megan, and the 2 girls had been friends since elementary school.
There was a lot of ups and downs with the friendship during that 7th grade year. One day that they would be friends, one day they wouldn't be friends. And I constantly battled with Lori Drew.
Their friendship eventually ended, and prosecutors may claim that Lori Drew, her daughter, and an 18-year-old family friend worked together to create this fictitious boyfriend for Megan. The alleged motive...
You know what? All you who did this are pathetic bastards.
to find out if Megan was saying mean things about the Drew's daughter.
When did the emails get negative? When did they get nasty?
The very first negative email of any kind came on Sunday, October 15th.
I'm going to read this. Is that the email? It says, "I don't want to be friends with you."
So, what they say? And she killed herself 2 days after that email.
Anymore because you're not nice to your friends.
Right.
A confused Megan wrote back.
That's what they
This
say.
kind came on Sunday, October 15th.
I'm going to read this. Is that the email? It says, "I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you're not nice to your friends."
Right.
A confused Megan wrote back, but she didn't get a response. On October 16th, she went to school and handed out invitations to her 14th birthday party. She'd all...
You see, that's sweet. She was gonna be... Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry, Megan. I'm sorry this happened to you. She was about to turn 14. She was happy that day, probably, handing out invitations. Lori Drew, who said she didn't do anything, is just a lying bitch.
Already picked out the polka dot dress she was going to wear.
Aww.
At 3:20, Megan returned home and rushed to the computer to see if Josh Evans had responded to her MySpace message.
Then she opens up the other message, and the message says, "You heard me. I said you're not a nice person, and I don't want to be friends with you any longer." It was typically back and forth, who are you talking to? Who's telling you that I'm mean?
At 5 o'clock, Tina Meier returned home from an appointment and found her daughter distraught. What began as Megan's attempt to understand why Josh Evans no longer wanted to be her friend had devolved into a barrage of insults with other kids joining in.
All of Josh's friends, all of Megan's friends, calling Megan a whore, a fat ass, calling her all kinds of god-awful names. And I had said, "Megan, you know what? I am really disappointed with the words and the language that you're using."
Now, what's her reaction to all this? How is she feeling?
She was crying, and she said, "You're supposed to be my mom. You're supposed to be on my side."
Megan took off running up the stairs. 20 minutes later, Tina Meier got a horrible feeling in her stomach.
I hadn't heard anything. Nothing. My heart dropped. And I just took off up the stairs. And I opened her door, and I just saw her hanging in her closet.
That night, the Meyers tried to contact Josh Evans, but as quickly as he'd come into her life, he had vanished.
What we saw were the last two messages sent from Josh Evans, which were, "The world would be a better place without you, and have a the rest of your life."
Lori Drew's attorney says she didn't have anything to do with setting up this account. Did Lori Drew set up a...
All you have to do is hook her up to a lie detector test. Show she didn't tell the truth, she could go to jail for lying.
or help create a fictitious website in the name of Josh Evans to monitor Megan Meier?
She did not.
Did she instruct anyone to do so?
She did not.
So she didn't send any emails?
She did not send any emails.
All Lori Drew did was be aware that they were doing this.
Correct.
Many of the viewers are going to be asking themselves, how could an adult, a mother, exercise such poor judgment and let this happen, knowingly let this happen?
Well, I think her judgment was probably clouded by a mother's concern for her daughter. Mean things were being said about her. And so she didn't think in a million years what happened would happen. That's, I think, why she didn't put a stop to it.
This novel criminal case could also present many challenges for the prosecution and problems for others who may have defrauded MySpace.
The huge issue in this case is the federal government all of a sudden going to step in with a wire fraud statute and charge everybody who's making misrepresentations on the internet? That would be an awful lot of people.
Even if Lori Drew is ultimately charged, she would probably face little time behind bars if convicted. And it wouldn't bring back Megan Meier.
All of her dreams, you know, her birthday, she was supposed to get her braces off that day. After all of those years, her black and white polka dot dress that she was going to wear, she wore it to her funeral.
Here's the third part of the
Parents are
story.
now fighting to have that law changed. Tina and Ron Meier join us now live with more in this story. First of all, thank you both for coming in. I know it's still very painful for the both of you to relive this tragedy. By the way, just so you know, this happened about a year ago. Megan passed away about a year ago in October. Why now? Why are you coming forward with your story now?
Basically, after it happened, we certainly didn't find out until the weekend of Thanksgiving. Megan passed away on October 17th. We found out the weekend of Thanksgiving that it was the other people that were involved. Previous to that, we thought it was children, our mission.
Reason I'm turning off the light is because the lamp thing around my light is getting extremely hot. Okay, here we go.
Was going to be get the word out that, you know, bullying, we were going to try to do that. Once we found out it was the family, we then went to an attorney. We were told to keep quiet about it. We were told the FBI was going to investigate it. So there was a long investigation. After we found out they did the long investigation, the FBI said that they couldn't do anything. The local police couldn't do anything. Nobody could do anything. It was just kind of our hearts were broken. I mean, we were just...
Well, I can only imagine. So there is absolutely no legal recourse. Is that right, Ron? What about civil action against this family?
Yeah, criminally as of right now, there's no recourse, but civil suit, yes, is definitely in order. And we're still currently working with that. So,
Have you had any contact with this family? Have they apologized?
They sent a one-page handwritten letter after we found out, saying that they sympathized with us, that they, understood our grief, but that the information that they knew was far beyond, the information that we found out was far beyond what they knew. Other than that,
So
no.
was there an apology? Was there an I'm sorry?
No, there's never been, basically ever since the first day that we found out, there's been no contact from them to us.
And the day you found out, it was another person who came forward.
This is so sad.
Who kind of was in the inner circle of all of this, knew this harassment was going on, and all these people kept it quiet. Describe the day when you found out that it was an adult behind all of this.
I think that's the biggest thing that hurt us the most, was that another parent could do this to a child, a 13-year-old girl. A lot of anger from both of us.
Now, I understand both of you are working together. We do want to let our viewers know that you are both now estranged, going through a divorce. I can only imagine the stress on your family. But you are working together to get some laws on the books to stop this from happening to other families. What's your next step? How are you going to get it done?
Well, we've kept quiet for so long, and then all of a sudden this has kind of exploded. My hope is that with the exposure that we can start getting people in the public to start helping us. The next step, I know that Ron's been working with his attorney. I guess he can speak about that.
Just to contact the local representatives and the people and the politicians in the state of Missouri, because there's actually no laws on the books that govern the internet per se for this case.
Even cyber stalking, even harassment, nothing applies?
Well, there's cyber stalking, but Megan's case, nothing fits into it. It wasn't sexual in nature. They couldn't find the last 4 hours of what happened on the computer. The FBI couldn't find it.
Wow.
The Josh Evans MySpace was deleted.
Wow.
So they couldn't fit.
Wow. This is terrible. This is awful.
Megan's case into any specific law.
And Tina, I know you were diligent in policing her MySpace account, and it's not only MySpace, by the way. There are other sites like Facebook, regular email, kids pass notes in school, things like that. You were diligent. What advice can you give parents to them for other teenagers, those who may be either the target of bullying or, even on these pages that are unsupervised?
We as parents were so protective of our children. Megan was never allowed to go to the mall. Megan wasn't allowed to, we watched everything. With the MySpace, it was kept private. We are the only ones that had the password. Our computers had passwords. We did every single thing that I thought you could possibly do. Looking back, the only possible thing that I could have done is the only people that were allowed on it were people that I knew. That's very hard.
And people you trusted.
Right. It's very hard when they're at that age, though. They have a friend, and then their friend starts talking to them. Another friend, they say, oh, Mom, I know this person. That person wants to be added. It's very hard to keep control of that.
And in all of this, Ron, how do you want Megan to be remembered? Because many of us are just learning about her.
She's one of the most caring people in the world. That's the hard thing about this is she would never have done this to anybody else. And for her to know, she passed away without even knowing that she believes it was this Josh Evans that said the things and didn't know it was this mother down the street. Megan was a bubbly person, great sense of humor, outgoing. That's how I would like her to be remembered. Just the pictures that you showed, there's not a picture in her house that doesn't have her smiling. It's a mess. But yet she hurt bad on the inside.
Well, Ron and Tina, thank you so much for telling your story. We appreciate it. Many parents, myself included, of a teenager, it's just touched many of us inside, and we hope you get what you're looking for other families. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
I'll post some photos down into this link to this video, you know. Okay. I do a lot of stuff about bullying, so I'm gonna read what they said about Megan Meier. I'm Lori Drew. It's time I dropped the charges. Yes, I made this blog. Yes, I'm a Lori. Sorry. Sometimes my voice does that weird whoa thing. I'm Lori Drew. It's time I dropped the charge. I dropped the charge. Yes, I'm Lori Drew. I made this blog. Yes, I'm Lori Drew. My daughter had nothing to do with this. Everyone needs to leave her alone. None of you can possibly know her involvement. None of you can possibly know what she's gone through. She's just a kid. She doesn't deserve this brutal verbal attack. Please stop. Then why would you take part of it? If you're a mother, you need to understand. Now that Mr. Beans has made Beans, I can't be too sure, has made public announcement that there will be no charges filed against me or my family. I feel that it's time to speak out after this tragic affair. I cannot count on any media organization, no media, on any media or organization to fairly represent my story, as they have grossly misrepresented and I can't pronounce that. I think this is misrepresented. I can't pronounce huge words. I'll post some photos of Megan because she had such a nice smile in some of her videos. Misrepresented, and this word I can't pronounce. Sensationalized. So any media organization to fairly represented my story count on how they have grossly misrepresented and sensationalized the story so far. I must present my case here on the blog of my outlet. You don't understand. The last 2 years have been living in this town, have been dealing with these people when we came here. When we came here, the Meyers seemed like a great family with whom we could form a friendship. Tina sold us our house, and our little girls became fast friends. It was typical sleepovers, vacations, and events in the community. The girls were, what's this word say? I want to make sure I pronounce something right. Inseparable. They stopped being friends for some kind of reason. Megan was screaming at Josh for answers, who had been talking to her, who he had been talking to. She wanted to know who ratted her out so she could take revenge on them too. I shared Megan's messages with everyone involved and encouraged everyone to stand up against her and not take her crap anymore. This is what disgusts me. This is a 13-year-old girl. What's going through your head, you bitch? instead of the word got out, Megan did so all her romantic replies, as well as a few secrets, and the MySpace crowd ganged up on her, but didn't realize that this group would react that way. I expected the certain amount of bullying. I was okay with it. And you were okay with it. You know what, Miss Lori Drew, if that's you saying it, you can go fuck yourself. This is disgusting. I wanted Megan to get a taste of what she had been dishing out the whole time, but I didn't want it to go as far as it did. It's true that the slut and fast references came out of what I shared, and by the time I got done with work that day, the bullying against Megan had progressed pretty far. I had heard about Better Off Without You message, and that's when I told everyone to cool it. Megan had been punished enough. I was satisfied. I thought she would think twice before bullying or manipulating anyone again. I don't know who wrote that Better Off Without You message. You were okay with her getting bullied. I see. Well, Miss Lori Drew, fuck you. And Megan, may you rest in peace. I might do some more videos on this Megan Meier case. Bye. Peace.